Hey, so today we're talking relationships, um, what dating is like as a trans man, and what it's like to date other people. Um, Dating can be hard at the best of times, and when you're trans, it can make it better, it can make it worse. Obviously, it's different for every person out there, and I'm not speaking on behalf of every trans guy out there. I'm just speaking on behalf of me, my experiences, and how I found relationships and dating to be with me. Um, I think being trans does have a huge impact on relationships, especially at the beginning. But it doesn't have to be the massive factor about relationships. Like, you don't have to focus everything around being trans. And when people ask, like, your relationship, how is it? And, like, they ask questions that you wouldn't ask just a like, cis couple. But the answers are no different, usually, from a cis couple. So, I have a bunch of questions that you've all asked, which I'm going to answer. So the first one is, in regards to having the confidence to approach a guy or a girl, speaking to them, coming out, then foreplay and sex. Right, well, I'm going to break that down a bit. So in regards to have the confidence to approach a guy or girl, that's got nothing to do with being trans, really. Everyone has to have that confidence to go up to someone. Um, just go up to them, really. Um, Speaking to them and coming out. Which links into my next question actually. How did I go about letting Kerry know I was trans? Kerry already knew I was trans. We went to school for 6-7 years together. So obviously she knew me through school, but we didn't properly get talking till last year, and that was because she asked me about transition and how it's going. So she approached me initially. Um, so speaking to them, I think just speak to them normally. um, you don't have to come out to them if you don't want to. Um, Obviously, I was already out living as stealth, but people knew I was trans, so I couldn't help that. That was beyond my control. Um, I always used to worry if I met someone who didn't know I was trans originally, would I tell them I'm trans? Because obviously, if you're going to be in a relationship, physical or not, you're sort of going to have to tell them. But you don't want to scare them off first thing. Um, so I've never actually had to come out to a girl that I liked before, but I have with friends. Just in general, uni friends. Some found out on their own. I told others. Um, it's not usually that big a deal for people, really. It's a shock at first, and they'll have a lot of questions. But generally, people are usually okay. And I think if they like you enough, it shouldn't impact them whether you're trans or cis. You're still the person they like, still the person they fell for, etc. So coming out, you just do it in your own time. Don't just go up to someone like, "Hi, I like you. By the way, I'm trans." It might affect how this goes, but just be yourself, really. Yeah. Um, then foreplay and sex, which leads me on to a question: how do you deal with your dysphoria when in a sexual situation? I don't really experience dysphoria to a level where it affects anything to do with my relationship now. In the past, certainly yes. Sex was quite a difficult sort of thing to get my head round, in the sense that I wanted to be physical with my partner and I wanted them to feel comfortable more than I did. And I thought that me being naked or being with them would make them feel more uncomfortable than me, which made me feel uncomfortable. Yeah, I always used to wear clothes like t-shirt, binder, boxers, everything, and I don't know, I just felt really out of place, really out of place. I think with sexual situations, foreplay, communication is the biggest key. Like, they say it everywhere, but it's so true. Talk to your partner, see what you're comfortable with, what they're comfortable with. Set boundaries. Just ask them, is this okay? Is that okay? Um, like, Kerry always comes to me, he's like, oh, I'd like to try this. How would you feel about it, or something like that, or would you be okay with this? She asked my opinion a lot, like how would I feel about certain things, and I don't know, if we agree on something and we both like to try it, then we give it a go. If I were ever to feel that uncomfortable, then I just like, look, can we just just stop for a minute, or just try something else, or I don't feel comfortable with that, or whatever. If you don't talk to each other, then the other person's not going to know. It's going to be awkward. You're going to sort of shy away a bit, and you're not going to enjoy it, really. So, you can have a perfectly normal sex life. You really can. Me and Kerry do, for instance. I know a lot of other guys that do. You just, I don't know, just go with the flow and be comfortable. As long as you're comfortable, there's no reason that you can't enjoy it. Simple as that, really. What do I use in those departments? Either mental health or physical things to assist you. Well, I just sort of said communication, really. That's the biggest thing. Obviously, there's toys and other stuff to help in that sense, but I'm not making a porn video here. How do I feel that trans has affected my relationships? Has it made it worse or better? I've had 3 long-term relationships. The previous 2, I'd say trans affected them a lot. My first one, especially, it was around the time I was just coming out and everything was just hectic. She was supportive, she was, but at times it got a bit tense in situations, especially with parents. I found parents to be my biggest, not fear, but worry when dating. I worry more about how their parents will react than other people, because I've never been accepted by parents. My second girlfriend's parents hated me, didn't want her to see me, they never knew our relationship ever existed. 11 months of lying. I think if you're going to be with someone, like, you need to be accepted by everyone in their life as well as your life, because they affect you and it affects your relationship, like, a lot. My first girlfriend's parents, they wouldn't let me within so many miles of their house, and it's ridiculous how someone's identity can affect people's opinions so much it affects a relationship. So yes, being trans affected those relationships in negative ways. This relationship with Kerry, however, it's made it better, I think. Which is where it says, what is your relationship with Kerry? Would you change anything? If so, why? Why not? We started talking because of my trans identity, and we grew stronger because of it, and I can talk to her very openly about it. Whereas in previous relationships, I felt very uncomfortable talking about trans issues. If I was having a dysphoric day, or I just didn't really want to talk about stuff, I just shied away, and I couldn't tell them what was wrong. I don't like talking about being trans, obviously away from YouTube and Tumblr and whatever, that's like my outlet for it, but in the real life, I don't talk about it, I don't like to associate with it, I don't identify as trans, I'm stealth biologic male to everyone else. And the fact that I could talk to Kerry so openly about being trans really brought us close together. And it made us interact more. There hasn't been a day we haven't spoken to each other since we first started talking, and I owe that a lot down to everything I go through and my experiences and sharing it with her. She's so supportive, and it really does help. So if there's any people out there who are dating a trans person, I'd just say be supportive. Like, let them know you're there for them, and try to understand as much as you can, and don't necessarily make everything about being trans. Kerry only asks, obviously, when I post something on Tumblr, I do a video, or if I have an appointment in London or something, she'll ask how it went, she'll come with me, we'll talk about it, and then that's that day over of trans stuff, and the next day, she just doesn't mention it much. She treats me a lot like a cis guy. Obviously you wouldn't talk about appointments and that with a cis guy and stuff, but apart from that there is nothing that she defines me as other than male. She treats me just how she treat her other male friends. Just in general, like, she doesn't see me as trans at all. None of my friends do either, nor do my family, they just see me as male. End of story. And it helps a hell of a lot to know that they just see you as male, and they forget that you're trans, and I think that's extremely important in a relationship as well. It's good that they're there for you in that sense, but also the fact that they just treat you like any other person, then it's fantastic because you feel the support, you feel the love, you feel normal for once, as it were. How do you feel? How do you and Kerry feel about each other's both looks, both clothed and naked? That was a mouthful. Well, it's pretty obvious. We love each other very much, and we think each other extremely sexy. Which leads me on to the next one. Are you and Kerry both confident people? Are you insecure in the bedroom? We're not overly secure people in general. Like, we both have things about our bodies we hate. We both have certain situations we don't like, and there's things about us we don't like. But we don't really let it get in the way of our relationship. Like I said earlier, with the communication, we both like talk to each other. We know the boundaries of things. We know when to joke and when not to joke, what to say, what not to say. So we're not that confident, but we're not that insecure, like, together. I think because we both have an understanding of what it's like to be dysphoric about your body or certain things like that. We fully understand each other. So yeah, that's fine. I love her naked. I wish she could be naked all the time. Obviously that's not going to happen, but I wish it would. Which one of you is the better cook? Do either of you like to cook? Right, this could cause some debate here. I would say I was the better cook, and she will deny it, but she knows it's true. She's the better, well, I wouldn't say better, but she's good at baking. She bakes cookies, cakes, scones, stuff like that. She calls them scones, I call them scones, it leads to arguments. If you want to have your own little thing about that, is it a scone or a scone? Then you can message a little comment below, scone or scone. It might finally clear things up for us. Scone. It's a scone. Anyway, so yeah, we like to cook. We bake together, cook together sometimes, yeah. I'm better. One last question. How do you guys handle the angry trolls with such grace and dignity? I'm not sure I could do it. Well, we don't get that many trolls and hate messages on Tumblr. We did go through a phase where we got quite a lot. But at the end of the day, like, they're just people sitting behind a screen who can't even show their face. And the majority of the time they're just jealous or insecure about themselves, and the fact that me and Kerry are so open about everything, and a lot of people come to us for advice, support, or just questions in general. Trolls don't bother us at all. And you could send me like 58 messages a day and it wouldn't bother me in the slightest. Why should it? There's no point getting angry at them, because then they'll know it gets to you. It doesn't get to us, and we find it quite funny, to be honest with you, so we just show them that we think they're being hilarious. So yeah, our relationship is brilliant, and there is nothing different about us in any way than it would be for a cis couple, really. We act the same as our friends who are couples and go out on couple stuff, and yeah, so there is hope out there. It's been a bit of a struggle in the past, but I think as you mature and relationships mature, people's opinions mature, and transition evolves, you become a lot more confident, and people see you more for who you are rather than your identity. So yeah, relationships can work, and they are fantastic. So I hope this helps, and scone or scone? Scone. Yes. Okay, bye.